My name is Emma Reese and my partner is Kyle Chandler. Resolved, the U.S. military should permit women to serve as combat troops.
First, we should look at the history of women in the military. Before World War I, women assisted the military during wartime mainly as nurses and helpers. Some women, however, did become involved in battles. Molly Pitcher, a Revolutionary War water carrier, single-handedly kept a cannon in action after an artillery crew had been disabled. During the Revolutionary and Civil War, a few women disguised themselves as men and took part in hand-to-hand combat. The first enlisted women served in World War I as telephone and radio operators, translators, and clerks. However, it was not till World War II that part of the regular military. Each service had its own women corps, commanded by female officers. The first of these units, the WAC, stood for Women's Army Corps, enlisted 400,000 women during the war to work in jobs not on the front line so that the men could focus on the frontline battles. The debate in the United States on whether women should be fully integrated into the armed forces originated in the 1902. The Women's Services Integration Act of 1948 established a permanent place for women in all branches of the military. However, promotions for female officers were limited, and women were banned from ground combat jobs, as well as from most Navy ships and Air Force aircraft. By the mid-1960s, about 70% of enlisted women worked in the clerk and other office jobs. On January 24, 2013, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta announced that the military would finally lift the ban on women serving in frontline combat roles, overturning the 1994 rule that limited the roles for women in the armed forces to units below brigade level away from direct combat. Pressure for equality in the U.S. Army had become more intense during the last decade as America's war against terrorism developed. Public opinion polls show that a majority of Americans agree with the change in policy. For example, a nationwide Quinnipiac University poll conducted found that 3/4 of voters surveyed favored allowing women to serve in units engaged in close combat. In November 2012, 4 women soldiers sued the U.S. Department of Defense because of the inequality of constraining women from service in the front line. The reasoning was that more than 280,000 U.S. female soldiers had been sent to Iraq, Afghanistan, and neighboring countries, and 152 of the 6,600 of U.S. fatalities were women, proving that there is no real difference between front or rear lines once troops are deployed. Women make up some 14% of the armed forces. Opponents of putting women in combat question whether they have the necessary strength and stamina. They also have said the inclusion of women in infantry and other combat units might harm unit cohesion, a similar argument to that made regarding gays. Of the roughly 2.2 million troops who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, more than 255,000 have been women, said Pentagon spokesperson Eileen Lanez. Pentagon figures show that as of January 3rd, 110 women were killed in the Iraq War, compared with about 1,300 men. In the Afghanistan campaign, 24 women were killed, compared with more than 1,400 men. It says a previous independent report suggests that women serving in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan had a positive impact on the mission accomplishment. The Navy recently changed its rules to allow women to serve on submarines for the first time. Women were barred from certain combat assignments in all services, but faced the broadest restrictions in the Army and Marines. Women should be empowered to make their own choices, but fully informed of the challenges.
Although thousands of American women have served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and been exposed to greater danger, they have been largely restricted to combat support jobs such as medics and transportation officers. Recent studies from Harvard Business School and MIT showed that group intelligence of an organization rises when women are on teams. Women bring a unique level of social sensitivity, the ability to read the emotions of other people. On today's complex battlefield, social sensitivity is a crucial skill for military professionals. Frontline units would be more than an exercise in social equality. It would be a valuable enhancement of military effectiveness and national security. Keeping women out of combat posts prohibits them from serving in roughly 10% of Marine Corps and Army occupational specialties, and thus is a barrier to advancement. As long as an applicant is qualified for a position, one's gender should not matter. It is easy to recruit and deploy women who are in better shape than many men sent into combat. It is possible to adjust recruitment and training standards to women. Extra pre-training for muscle building can also be used to reduce female injury rates. In modern high-technology battlefield, technical expertise and decision-making skills are increasingly more valuable than simple brute strength. The blanket blanket restriction for women limits the ability of commanders in theater to pick the most compatible person for the job. Women are more effective in some circumstances than men are. Allowing women to serve doubles the talent pool for delicate and sensitive require interpersonal skills not every soldier has. Having a wider personnel base allows militaries to have the best and most diplomatic soldiers working to end conflict quickly, as combat duty is usually regarded as necessary for promotion to senior officer positions. Denying female personnel this experience ensures that very few will ever reach the highest reaches of the military and so further ingrain sexism. Women have to be given the same opportunities as men in the Army in order to have the same opportunities they have to be exposed to the same risks. One Marine saying, "Female Marines demonstrated that they were capable of performing the physically demanding tasks. A small number of women have now been included in the combat teams. They are not merely tolerated. They are respected as comrades and have directly contributed to group cohesion. Women have fought and sometimes died. Women have accounted for about 2% in casualties in many jobs ranging from piloting to truck driving to intelligence gathering throughout the wars of the 21st century, yet the U.S. ground forces had previously kept them out of infantry-like jobs. With this announcement, the final 220,000 or so military positions, about 10% of the total, that were closed to women are now open. Women tend to have as good endurance and mental toughness as men. As a result, some have passed the various courses and tests. Virtually all have demonstrated incredible fortitude and commitment in the effort. Physical standards can be reassessed, but should not be easily relaxed. The rule going forward should be that physical standards and requirements must be gender neutral. In conclusion, women should be allowed to serve as combat troops as long as they are physically qualified. As shown by the MIT and Harvard study, group intelligence rises when women are a part of a team. Women have the ability to strengthen the military in ways that men cannot, and not allowing them to simply because their gender is